saw a few clips of the Ice Bucket Challenge that I did a few years ago with Jamie Masters. And I want to tell you what strategies I used in order to start from there into actually having Jamie as someone on my podcast, Marketing to Crush Your Competitors. So in this video, I will continue to show you how to connect with social media influencers. Hi, high achiever. My name is Fabienne Raphaël, and I'm here to help you monetize your knowledge so you can fire your boss. And I want to share with you 3 little steps in order for any type of influencers that you are connecting with to say yes to you. Okay? So first thing first, well, you have to make a list of these influencers. And how do you know that this person is an influencer? Well, first of all, depends on your market. And I know that because you are an expert in your area of expertise, you might be aware of who's dominating your market or who people are mostly talking about, right? And you might want to do research on these people all over the web. And then you want to see if that person has published books, if they are writing actively on a blog, if they are giving a lot of live events, if they have a lot of social media following, and how people engage on their stuff. And that's the most, let's say, crucial thing that you have to see if people are responding to what they're putting all over the web. But it doesn't matter if the person doesn't necessarily have like thousands of followers, because there are some people who they call micro-influencers, and these people have just a small type of people following them, but when they post something, they have a ton of engagement. So they don't necessarily have a big list, but the people who follow them are really keen of them and are talking about them all the time and convincing others to follow them. So these are micro-influencers. So you can find them online, you can find them at live events, you can find them on TV shows, you can find them on major publications, in the newspapers, whatsoever. Well, you know who you need to look up to, and just make a research, make a list of all these people that you want to reach out to. Okay, second thing, be their best student. So what I mean by best student or best follower is that you have to stand out in a way, okay? So in the prior video, I explained to you how I was able to connect with Chris and how it led to have him on my podcast, Marketing to Crush Your Competitors. And that was just because I was bold enough to go and connect with him on Messenger, even if to me at the time he was a stranger, and he kindly accepted into talking to me and then responding to my invitation to come on my show. So what I mean by that, by saying best follower or best student, is that you should know everything that that person has put out in the world, right? So if they have a blog, subscribe to it. If they have an email list, subscribe to it. If they have a book, buy it. If they have online programs, or if it's possible for you to hire them as your mentors, well, just do that. And not only do that, but get results out of what you learn from them, okay? So for example, if you are reading their blog and they just released their new blog post and it's 12 p.m., well, be the first person to comment. So at 12:01 maximum, you've written your comment, you stood out of that comment. And why I said be the first person to comment, because most of the time when something is released on the web, the person, the author of the article, tries to hang out for the first 30 minutes, first hour, for 15 minutes, whatsoever, but they hang out like right after it's released in case they're getting engagement and comments, so they can comment back, so they can reply. So if you're always the first person to comment, then of course you're going to stand out. Oh, okay, that person, well, she's always the first one commenting. So you start to actually create a relationship with that influencer. And when I say commenting, I'm not saying just like, yeah, truth, or good job, or right post. No, I'm just thinking about something more meaningful or insightful, what you could add to what the person said in the article, or what you've experimented yourself, or if you've been studying that person for a while and they're talking about a topic that you implemented already, well, you could talk about your experience and how you learned from it. That's actually making you stand out above the others. And other thing is that the other people commenting usually read the other comments. So you're not only standing out in the eyes of that influencer, but you're also standing out in the eyes of all the other people commenting under that post, okay? And then the third thing is about meeting them and ask for the favor that you want to have. Like, okay, I'm writing a book and I'm interviewing experts, or I'm doing a roundup post and I would like to have your insights, or I have a podcast, I have a YouTube channel and I would love to interview live, or I have a private group, or I have a mastermind and I would love for you to come and speak in front of my audience. So don't be afraid to ask. That's the thing also. A lot of people are extremely shy and they just hide behind the computer and they feel that it's impossible to ask anything because these people are too busy. Of course they are. And that's why you have an advantage when you've been working very hard about standing out prior to connecting and asking them what you want to ask them. When I said about being best student, what I meant was, if let's say you hire them as a mentor, well, be their best mentee. Okay, get the results over there. And I have a story about John Lee Dumas and myself. So when I started podcasting, well, I hired John as my mentor to help me out with launching my podcast. And I remember that at the time, I was really eager into making this work. So John had asked me to send 10 emails every day to reach out to influencers in my market and to see who I could book for an interview. Well, within the 31st days, I was able to book 70 interviews. That's how motivated I was. And of course, he was extremely impressed by my work. So each time he was asking me something, I would send it right back. And I remember that when we met live and we were hanging out and he was introducing me to others, well, he used to say, "She's my best mentee." And that's amazing because when you have a public figure or an influencer claiming that you are one of his best students, well, it feels good and it really helps you out into standing out above the others. And for the know, like, and trust factor, of course. Jamie Masters, you remember that video that you saw just at the beginning of this clip that I just recorded? Well, it was the Ice Bucket Challenge. And that happened at Podcast Movement. We met and we were chatting, and then it was in the period of the Ice Bucket Challenge. And we decided, both of us, that we would organize it. So I convinced a few people to do it, and she convinced a few people to do it on her end. And right after the event, we went outside with our buckets and we did it all together, and we had a lot of fun. So of course, as a podcaster, I wanted to have her on the show, and I figured, well, we had that first connection, which was extremely good. So let me go and ask her if she could be a guest on my show. And at that time, she was extremely busy and it was not working. And she said, sorry, you have to go through my assistant and then we'll see what we can figure out. So of course, I don't take no as an answer. So what I did, I wrote a handwritten letter. And in my letter, I had put some stickers and, that would make her remember the great times we had at Podcast Movement and all that stuff. And then when you had it in the envelope, it was a little bit bulky. So of course, people were curious when they got it at her office. And when she opened it, like she was really happy to read that. So her assistant connected with me and she was like, "We received your letter. Jamie is extremely touched. So you bumped a few people along the waiting list for the podcast interviews." So I was able to book that interview with her like prior. So it was like 3 weeks later or something like that. Because I had made something that made me stand out above the others, I would just send an email and ask, well, do you want to be a guest on my show? All right. So that's another thing that you could do. Try to be personal. Try to do something other than writing an email or recording a very boring video, or try to be creative in it and very unique to show to that person that, hey, I really care about you collaborating with me, and this is what I'm willing to do for it to happen. Another thing that happened was with Michael Port. So Michael Port is an international speaker. I had just bought his book, Steal the Show. So I was preparing for my first ever live event, and I had to prepare for it. So I remember that when I read the book, I had so many insights that what I had planned to do before, I switched it completely because of all the insights I got from the book. And when I went to that live event and hosted it, and everyone was very satisfied and they felt that it was awesome, I was able to close 40% of the room. So I was really ecstatic when I came back from my event, and I remember really late at night, I wrote an email and then I said, you know what happened? Oh my God, I implemented the stuff I learned on your book, and then now I closed 40% of the room. I'm ecstatic. Do you want to come on the show and talk about these techniques again? Because I have had him on the show already once. And I think it was not even like 2-3 hours later, he had replied and said, of course, I'll be back on the show, and congrats on your accomplishment. And of course, at the same time, he said, well, would you mind putting a review on Amazon about you reading the book and you implementing the strategies? And of course, I said yes, because it had helped me. And of course, it's a win-win situation. I'm helping him, he's helping me. So we have the great time on the show again, but that's also to show you that when you're reading something, if you get results out of it, if you let the author know, you don't know where it might lead. You might meet that person in an event eventually, or you might have something special you're working on and you feel that that person will be a great fit for it. So when I met him at his live event, again, he recognized me by my name. So that's another way to stand out. Very easy, not necessarily expensive, and simple to do. And the last one, the last person I wanted to address how we met was with Sue Zimmerman, and Sue is an Instagram expert. And because I was following her on social media, I saw that she posted that she was actually traveling to Montreal. I was like, okay, so I messaged her. I was like, oh my God, you're in Montreal? Really? And she said, yes, she is. She was there for the holiday season. So we met on December 31st at a restaurant that's on top on Place Ville-Marie. And we had a great time. We cheered to the new year. And it was amazing. We took pictures and we had a great time and we connected there. So I dared to do it. Why? Because it was someone that I was already following with her work. And I knew she was around Montreal and she was looking for recommendations to places to go. And I knew I could help her out. So that's what I did. See? So it's easy. Whenever you are genuine and honest and authentic into your will to help that person or be of service or implementing what you learned from them, well, of course, it comes back to you. And it can come back as opportunities, collaborations, great time, nurturing and building relationships, but it always comes back to you in a nice way, okay? So sparkle your comments below. I want to hear what kind of experience you had with influencers, and I will see you in the next video.